What's up, party people? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Friday. I hope you guys got some plans for the weekend. As always, I want to know, what are your plans this weekend? I think we're going to be doing a lot of beach time. I got a good buddy of mine, Nathan Crane, who is, you guys might have seen him on some of our interviews before. He's actually an inflammation cancer expert. Him and his whole family are going to be coming here, and we're going to be having some fun together, which I cannot wait for. But enough about me. What about you guys? Tell me, where are you coming from, and what do you have planned for the weekend? Today, what we're going to be talking about is how to dine out when you're living with any form of diabetes. In fact, I'm going to extend it and say, how do you dine out when you're trying to just eat a healthier, regimen, a healthier diet? Because it can become kind of a stumbling point for a lot of people, and it can become really kind of annoying because you go to a restaurant and all of a sudden you realize that you just can't. It's hard to order off of the menu. It's hard to know exactly what to order. And as a result of that, a lot of people just get frustrated and they're like, you know what? I don't even care. I'm just going to order whatever I want. And then they spend the next week of their life trying to sort of recover from, inflammation, chronic aches and pains, high blood glucose, high blood pressure, and the list goes on. So let's see. Comments coming in. Diane says gardening this weekend from, I cannot read that, Sugartees. Is that right? Sugartees, New York. I don't know what that's a tough name. Love it, Diane. Gardening's fun. It's actually a whole workout. I love it. Okay, Marilyn. Marilyn Eldridge. What's up, Marilyn? She's coming in from New York. I love it. Annette says, good afternoon from Augusta, Georgia. I will be cleaning, working, and exercising. I love the fact that you're exercising. It's one of my favorite things to do. I also will be doing a ton of exercise because I just love it, and it's always a fun time. So here's what I want to know from you guys. Go into the chat box and tell me, what are your questions? What are the frustrations that you guys have when it comes to eating out? Okay. Is it about trying to find the right restaurants? Is it about not knowing what to order when you get to the restaurant? Not knowing how to ask for food that maybe doesn't contain oil? Is it in trying to diversify the types of restaurants that you go to so that you're not just going to the same one or two restaurants over and over and over again? You tell me. I want to know exactly what you guys are thinking, because I can sort of try and help you sort through all the nonsense. Diane says, saw her tease. Oh, sorry. Saw her tease. Saw her tease. Okay, cool. I love it, Diane. Thank you. Okay, Renee says, finding the right restaurants, trusting they will make it the way I need it. All right, so there's two different things there. Okay, this is good to know. Annette says, just received my labs. My A1C has gone from 7.9 to 7.1. Amazing. Good job, Annette. It's on its way down. It's going to continue to fall. This is very good news. Nancy says, all of the above. All right, so let's focus on Renee's questions here about finding the right restaurants and trusting that they're going to make it the way that you need it. All right, so I got a couple of pro tips for you guys. And if you don't have a pen, then pick up a pen and write this stuff down, because as soon as we're done with this, you're going to forget this stuff if you're not actually writing things down. Okay. So first things first, when it comes to choosing the right restaurant, how do you choose the right restaurant? This would be a subject of an entire podcast or an entire video if you really think about it, because it can be pretty challenging. The easiest places to go when you're looking for something to eat that's sort of considered green light. Number one, smoothie cafes. Okay. If you enjoy drinking smoothies or you enjoy eating smoothie bowls, then any place that has smoothies on the menu, maybe it has acai bowls, or maybe it has some type of blended fruit bowls. Those are number one, because those restaurants or those cafes tend to be pretty, you can customize the food that you're consuming. Some of this food that they have might contain peanut butter. Some of it might contain almond butter. Some of it might contain coconut oil. Some of it might contain a bunch of nuts and seeds. And when you look at the menu, what I always do is I say, hey, listen, I'd like to, if I can't find anything on the menu that sort of is like 100% green light, then I just walk straight up to the desk and I say, hey, can I custom order something from you guys? And most people at the time, they're like, yeah, sounds good. What would you like? I say, okay, great. I would like an acai bowl that has bananas and blueberries and strawberries on top, no nuts and seeds, no coconut. And I would also like some cocoa nibs on top. Just call it a day right there. Keep it real simple. Okay. So it's got an acai base. It's got some fruit on top of it. It's got some cocoa nibs. Maybe I'll put some other fun additives on top. But that's pretty much it. Okay. So I would say that's a go-to number one. Now, truth be told, when you go into like a smoothie bowl place or a smoothie cafe, you probably don't want to do that for dinner. You probably want to do that for breakfast and lunch. So especially on the weekends, if you're looking for some place to go that's exciting and fun, I would always start there. When you're talking about something relating to dinner can get a little bit more confusing. But the easiest places to go are, number one, Thai restaurants. If you enjoy Thai food, join the club. My wife is addicted to Thai food. I freaking love Thai food, and we'll go there all day, every day. The reason why Thai restaurants are so good is because most of the time they contain a lot of dishes on the menu that are 100% green light or like 90% green light. Okay. So if you go to a Thai restaurant, you can order a green papaya salad. Green papaya salad is 100% raw. And when you order it, just basically ask for two modifications. Say, number one, is this cooked in fish sauce? Yes or no? And sometimes they say, yeah, it is. And you go, great. I don't like fish. I'm a vegan. Can you please not make it in fish sauce and include, I don't know, lemon and vinegar instead? And oftentimes they're like, let me see if I can do that. They go talk to the chef. They come back. They say, you know what? We can do it. Sounds like a plan. Okay, go. Sounds great. So green papaya salads are great. Mango salads also follow the same rule set. Okay. Oftentimes sometimes they make them in a fish sauce, and you can kind of get rid of that. The other modification I would make is say, is there peanuts on there? Because sometimes they mix the peanuts inside. If the answer is yes, then you can say, hey, listen, could you do me a favor? Just take the peanuts and just put them on the side. That's it. You can even go so far, if you wanted to say, you know what? I'm allergic to peanuts. Please don't put peanuts on my food, and just keep them off the side. And then that's going to help reduce the fat content right there. Okay. So that's a simple thing that you can do when you go to a Thai restaurant. Another thing that you can do is you can order some curries that are usually, they have like a vegetable curry, and the vegetable curry can either be a red curry, a yellow curry, or a green curry. You can get that curry with tofu, with vegetables, and then you can get it also with brown rice, and then you can also get it with a side order of steamed vegetables. So some combination of all of that, whether you want the curry, the steamed vegetables, the papaya salad, the mango salad, and then oftentimes they have a spring roll on the menu, which is like a rice paper that's not deep fried. And then the rice paper has inside of it things like carrots and cucumbers and blanking on a couple of other things they stick in there. Some kind of like pea shoots. Sometimes some ginger. It actually tastes really tasty. So some combination of all of that is sure to get you full. And it's actually a very simple way to get a really healthy meal that has a small amount of cooking and actually is predominantly green light. Okay. Another place you can go is you can go, there's a lot of these new restaurants that are like fast casual restaurants where they will allow you to make a salad bowl. And the salad bowl is something that you can like put together yourself, right? So you can go to a counter and you could basically be like, hey, like I want those greens, and I want the tomatoes, and I want the quinoa, and I want the black beans, and I want the pea shoots, and they kind of mix it all together and they tumble it and then they hand it off to you, right? Some of these places are called Sweet Greens. That's one of them. I'm blanking on a couple other names off the top of my head, but you know what I'm talking about. When you see it, it's basically just like an assembly line of people. That's one person's got the bowl, the next person's got the vegetables, and then the third person's like, what's the protein that you would like? And you're like, well, I'm not a animal food eater, so please, no chicken, no beef, no animal food. Could you just give me some extra beans? Maybe put some more chickpeas on there. And they're like, oh, sounds like a plan. No problem. Okay. So those are always simple things that you can do. Now, another place you can go is also Chipotle. And it may sound funny to hear that, but Chipotle actually tends to be one of the cleaner fast casual places, even though sometimes their food does contain a significant amount of oil. So you're going to have to be a little bit cautious when you go there. But my wife likes to order a big burrito. She gets the vegetable burrito. She does put a little bit of avocado on that. And of course, the burrito has the wrapper on it, the flour tortilla, which you can choose whether or not you want that flour tortilla. But it's, even if you choose to have that, it's a cleaner way to get a pretty healthy and filling meal. Okay, so those are just some simple tips. Now, another thing that you can do. So Lisa basically says, I have just been ordering my own salad and taking my own vinegar and spice dressing. That's a great idea, Lisa. I do that all the time myself, actually. Very easy to do. A lot of the times I actually take a bowl of chickpeas, like in a Tupperware container. And then if I order something, I'll open the bowl of chickpeas and I'll dump it on top of that. And then I'll eat it because the chickpeas add a lot of calories. And then they also add like a pretty good flavor. Christy says, definitely oil, but also my diet becoming the topic of discussion and focus of the conversation. Cool. All right. Well, if that's the case, and oftentimes you feel like your diet is the one thing, you can just open your mouth and be like, you know what, guys, sometimes I just feel like I get interrogated when it comes to my eating habits. And like, I appreciate the interest, but I'm just tired. Can we talk about something else? And if you're just that clear with people and that open, then a lot of people will be like, oh, I'm so sorry, Christy. I did not mean to put you on the defensive. Of course, let's talk about it later. And you can talk about it at a different time. And then in the meantime, you can just be like, hey, let's talk about celebrity drama. And then you can just bring up a subject and then boom, now all of a sudden the subject is different and you can talk about that. Okay. Now, when it comes to oil is kind of like the big skeleton in the closet because it can be kind of frustrating to try and order something that from a menu when everything is drowned in oil. So one of the things that I do when I sit down at the table is I actually just pull the waiter aside before the meal has even begun, or like towards the beginning of the meal. And I just pull the waiter aside and say, hey, I got a quick question for you. The waiter comes by, I say, listen, I just want to let you know right now that I tend to be a little bit different than most people. And I'm not trying to make your life difficult in any way, but I am allergic to oils. And most of the time they're like, allergic to oil? Like all oil? And I go, yeah, no olive oil, no canola oil, no grapeseed oil, no avocado oil, no walnut oil, no nothing oil. I literally cannot have oil because when I do, it actually makes me feel really ill, which is not a false statement. So is it possible that you could help me order something off of the menu that doesn't have any oil on it and that is 100% plant-based? And then oftentimes the waiter's like, okay, let me think. That's a challenge. Then they pull up a menu and they start going through it with you right then and there. And oftentimes I have this conversation, like not even at the table. It's like on the side of the table. But everybody's getting their stuff ready. They're sitting down and they're, oh, I want to use this chair and put my towel over here and my sweatshirt and whatnot. And you're like, cool, sweet. You go figure that out. I'm going to go talk to the waiter. I just beeline it to go straight talk to the waiter. And then I like strategize with them right then and there. When you demonstrate to the waiter that, number one, you're not trying to be problematic. You're not trying to be rude. You're very open-minded and you're asking them for help rather than saying, you have to make me something that contains no oil. And if you don't, then I'm going to be really pissed and I'm going to leave you a crappy review. Like, don't bring that attitude in. Instead, just be like, hey, could you help me with this? And when you are open-minded and when you're kind and when you're generous like that, then most waiters I find are like, oh, for sure. No problem. Of course. I'll help you out. And what they do is they take it on as a challenge. And then when they go actually make a meal and they come back to you, they're proud. They want to please you. They want you to be happy. So they usually go above and beyond and they create this thing that's just like not even on the menu. It's like it's some custom creation that they worked on with the chef and they make it for you. And it's like usually like got an incredible presentation and it's just got black beans over here, chickpeas over here, and brown rice over here. And they put the whole thing together and they're literally like, I've never even made this dish before. I hope you enjoy it. Right. It's that type of like extra care and attention that a lot of restaurants are willing to put in if you're just kind and generous with them. So my suggestion to you would be, number one, open your mouth. Number two, be very kind and be very, be open-minded, but then also do it outside of the table environment. And when you can do that before the meal even starts, you're setting yourself up for success. So by the time the waiter actually gets to the meal, it's already figured out. You can just sit back, you can relax, be like, yeah, we already talked about it. It's all good. I'll get that thing that you were going to make for me. Very simple. Okay. So that's what I would suggest. Now, there's a couple more comments that are coming in here. Jackie says, when I started eating plant-based, my A1C was 5.6. My last measurement was 5.1. Nice. During the pandemic, I got it down to 4.9. Food is my only treatment. Jackie, nice work. That's incredible. That's really good work. Mike says, only taking Amla for a few days. Feel better already. Can't pinpoint how. Any trick to dissolving better. Don't want to waste any in my cup. Mike, so here's what I would say. First of all, I'm glad that you're taking almond green. I'm glad that you're feeling better. That's great news. Don't worry about the little bit that's left at the bottom of the cup. The easiest thing to do, if there's like a little bit at the bottom of the cup, is when you get kind of towards the bottom and there's just like a little bit of liquid, just stir it up and then shoot it. Because if you do it that way, then it's already in suspension. And then by the time you actually raise your glass and put it down, it's already spinning around and it goes down without it settling first and then not coming into your mouth when you actually open your cup or when you tilt your cup. Okay. So get it stirred up or like, swirl it with your hand and then just shoot it down. That's the simplest way to get it in your body when you get to the bottom of the cup. Of course, don't do that with hot liquid because then that could be a disaster. Bess, would you do me a favor? Could you show the soup and salad guide that we have on the screen? Because I want to show you guys. We put this free guide together for you guys, which is your summertime soups and salads guide. And what better time to do it than this summer? And here, basically, we have 10 recipes that you can put together to beat the heat that are 100% green light. And some of them also contain some almond green inside of them. Who knew you could put almond green inside of your food? Crazy, huh? So in this guide, you can basically get a total of 5 salads. We have a berry mango salad. It's actually real tasty. We got a kale potato salad. Who knew you can't put potatoes in a salad? Okay, you got a hydrating fruit plate, which is actually a version of a salad. We got raw vegan rainbow salad dressings. So show you how you can actually put together a couple of different dressings with some almond green inside of them. We have a farro salad. In case you never had farro before, it's real tasty. And then we also have a bunch of soups for you. And these summertime soups some of them are cold. Some of them feel real good. You don't have to add more heat. You got a broccoli soup. We got a ginger soup. This one's my favorite, actually. Very tasty. We got a red lentil soup for those of you who are legume fans. And then we have a thick and hearty black bean stew. And this is actually one of the fan favorites. People love that stew. And then we got a squash, sweet potato, and corn chowder. I made this at Thanksgiving once, and literally every single person who was at the table was like, give me that freaking recipe. I need that recipe right now. Even all the non-vegans at the table was awesome. So if you want those recipes and you want the soups plus the salads, just write the word guide in the chat box. GUIDE. Just write that. So if you're on Facebook, write the word guide. You're on Instagram, write the word guide. If you're on YouTube, you're going to actually have to DM us on Facebook or Instagram and just write the word guide. I wish I could give it to you guys. We just can't see your comments on YouTube, unfortunately, for some weird reason. But just type that in there, and then we'll send it to you directly, and it's just an easy way for us to get it to you. Okay. So I hope this is helpful. I hope you guys are getting some pro tips here. If any of you guys also have some ideas for things that you've done when you're at a restaurant or that you've done when eating out that actually did work and that you felt good about, and maybe some tips and tricks that you use on a continuous basis, let us know what that is. Just write it in the chat box because, I'm always open to learning new things. And I've just sort of like incorporated some things that I've learned and some things that our coaching team has learned over the course of time. But, it's not an exhaustive list by any stretch of the imagination. Got a whole bunch of you writing guiding. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. I dig it. Okay, we got just a couple of minutes left. So give me some of those comments if you got any. And I'm just trying to think if there's maybe like another tip I could give you guys here. Another tip. Yeah, here's one other one that actually does work big time. Before going to eat at a restaurant, please take a look at the menu online. Okay. Every single restaurant in today's world has a menu that's available online. And if they don't, then they're just operating back in the 90s. Okay. Look at the menu, read the menu, study the menu, figure out what's on the menu. It takes a lot of the pressure off of you when you get to the restaurant. You don't have to like have a decision right away and a pressured situation and time, you don't have very much of it. You can kind of like relax a little bit. So if you've studied the menu beforehand and kind of a general idea of what's on the menu, then you can basically plan so that when you get to the restaurant, you can be like, you know what, I saw this thing on your menu online and I want some of this, but could you put brown rice instead of white rice? And could you take off the bread? And could you make sure it has no oil? And then it's just easier. Another thing you could do too is pick up the phone and call the restaurant and say, hey, you know what? I'm coming in later today for dinner at 7:00. I got a party of 4. Our name is, Smith. Here's the deal. And then you tell them the whole thing. I don't like oil on my food. I'm allergic to oil. It causes inflammation inside of me. I can't have it. and and I'm 100% plant-based. Can you help me out? Is there anything on your menu that you might be able to help me with? And then you go back to the question and answer and question and answer and question and answer and question and answer with them right there. And then it simplifies the whole thing. And they might be like, you know what? I'm going to remember you when you come in at 7 o'clock today. And then by the time you show up, you're like, hey, what's up, Amanda? I'm Cyrus. I was the one that talked to you on the phone earlier. And they're like, oh, hey, cool, sweet. I got your order right here. I'm going to make sure you're pleased. And then they can communicate that directly to the waiter, and it just makes your life easier, right? So a little bit of thought beforehand can go a real long way. Okay. Christy says, I try to be the one to pick the restaurant whenever possible. That is a great plan. I like that. Nothing wrong with that, Christy. Sharon says, guide. Thank you. Question: does Amla Green go bad if never opened? And the answer is, Sharon, the answer is yes, it can go bad for sure. Sometimes it can solidify into a giant block like a brick. But we've noticed that only happens if you're in a humid environment, and that happens if it's not in the fridge. So if you have a bottle basically that's unopened and sealed, you can basically keep it in your cupboard at room temperature, and it should be just fine for up to approximately 1 year. But if you're concerned about that and you feel like, you're getting a little antsy about it, take it and stick it in your fridge. And then every time you open the Amla Green and you break the seal, then put it in your fridge from there on out, and it'll last you another full year. Okay, so it basically has about a 2-year shelf life, one outside the fridge and one in the fridge. Okay, and then DW Lynn says, Busboys and Poets restaurant has so many vegan plant-based options. Oh, that's awesome. I wonder what part of the country that's in. That's great to hear. All right. So now there's also one last thing you can do. It's a place called Happy Cow, which is just a website that lists a bunch of plant-based restaurants. So go check that out. happycow.com, I think it is. And then, you can search for the city that you're in, and it'll tell you whether or not there's plant-based restaurants available. It's not necessarily the most exhaustive place in the world, but there's a lot of really good stuff on there. And a lot of the vegan food there is not necessarily the most health conscious vegan food, I'll say. But at least it gives you a good start, and it kind of just gives you an idea of, what's available nearby you. So go for that. Diane says, have been loving Amla Green I got the immunity bundle, drink one of each every day. Love the variety. Need to try the pumpkin spice. Love it, Diane. Glad you're getting it. And yeah, get the pumpkin spice. It's actually really tasty. If you're a pumpkin spice latte fan, then I think you're going to love it. All right. You guys rock. Thank you so much for being here. I hope this was helpful. I hope it gives you some tips. Go use some of these techniques when you go out and eat next time. And if you're going out over the weekend, then, try and make it work. Again, Thai restaurants are great. Smoothie cafes are great. Southeast Asian restaurants in general, I would say, are good, even if it's like a Burmese place or a Vietnamese place. They tend to have a lot of fresh ingredients. Have a side conversation with the waiter. Do your homework before you get there. It should make your life a lot simpler. So I hope you guys had a good time. I'll catch you guys next Friday. In the meantime, have a great day.